silicon dioxide, SiO2. Am I describing glass or am I describing quartz? Actually, both. That formula represents two different types of materials that are made from the same elements in the same ratios to each other, but they have very different properties. Quartz is a crystal. It's not as transparent as glass. Glass is highly transparent. And some people have even said glass is like a liquid. And quartz is like clearly a solid. Glass is a liquid in one key way, in that its arrangement of its atoms on the atomic scale are what's called amorphous, without shape. Whereas a crystal, like quartz, has a long-range order to it. The long-range order and short-range order, that refers to when you have an element, silicon and oxygen, what is its nearest neighbor? What is close to it? And SiO2 tells you the ratio, but it doesn't really tell you the arrangement. So if you look here, this is a three-dimensional depiction of these atoms, and they're arranged with a repeating pattern that extends throughout the crystal, and it's repeatable, not just repeating. You know what to expect. But if you look to glass, there is, because the bonds and the materials are the same, and the physics and the chemistry of those bonds forces them to be the correct ratio, they aren't arranged the same way. The arrangement of the atoms, if you pull back and you see more than just what's around each atom, the arrangement of the atoms in a piece of glass, again, SiO2 being a very simple glass, but you could have that be the base of many other glasses that have a few more elements in them. But it would still be true in that glass has this amorphous configuration, whereas quartz, same chemical formula, has this repeating order. Like if you zoom in, you'll see the same arrangement around each one. If you zoom in here, you'll also see the same arrangement pretty much. However, you have these larger gaps, and it's these large gaps right here in the structure of glass that on the macro scale allows it to be transparent. So they're very similar materials, but if you take a piece of quartz and you crush it, it makes smaller pieces of quartz, or a little bit of sand type structure. When you take beach sand or river sand and you can melt it and you make this glass. Well, these crystals of ordered elements, grains of sand for instance, when you crush them and melt them, you still have the same elements, but when you freeze those things, i.e. to make glass, you end up getting a whole new atomic configuration of the elements. You get the properties of glass, where if it breaks, it makes shards. And it's also, glass is much more transparent to the range of light that we can see. Although not every wavelength of light can get through every piece of glass, but that's something for another time. So by taking the same materials, the same elements or building blocks, you can make very different materials with different properties. And unless you can cool things really, really, really slowly, it's not likely that you're going to take melted quartz and make that into quartz again. You would really have to have some very special conditions to do that. But if you just let it cool naturally, this chaotic pattern of the liquid glass gets frozen into an amorphous glass shape.